Welcome back to Palworld. In this video we're going through the ultimate beginner guide. I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks to help you out, especially when it comes to the early game. And we're going to start off with a little trick for the grapple gun. So in order to get your hands on this, you do need to be level 12. So you'll see there, and it's in the ancient technology tree. So in order to get yourself an ancient technology point, what you need to do is take down the alpha bosses. And the easiest one at the start of the game is Chill It, which is over here to the northwest of where you start at the Plateau of Beginnings. Is level 11, but once you defeat it or capture it, you're going to get an ancient technology point, which you can then spend on the grapple gun. So basically, the little trick with the grapple gun is, for an example, if we come down here, there's a bunch of stone in there. Let me just quickly deal with this raid. So again, if we take a look at the little quarry, I've got a lot of stone in here. I've got a chest nearby, but if I was to pick it up from here, I'm now massively over encumbered. So what you can do is, if we get out the grapple gun, if we aim it and we then shoot close to a chest, it's going to pull you over. So it completely ignores the weight. And then what you can do is you can open up your chest, you can grab all your stone and you can put it in your chest. That way you'll be able to move again. So it's a little trick to ignore the weight with the grapple gun. You can use it to get to your chests, which is going to be really helpful when you're over encumbered. Next up is just a simple one. Don't be an idiot like I have been. You start at the Plateau of Beginnings, and I built my base here, which is on a massive hill. If I would have just gone down here, I could have built it on flat land. And there's two sides to this little pond thing, whatever you want to call it, this little lake. When it comes to building on a hill, it does get quite frustrating, especially because if we quickly run down here to my ranch, you'll see that some of it is actually buried in the floor. So I recommend, don't be an idiot like I've been, build your base on flat land. It just makes building so much easier. Next up is that you can actually have two pals out at the same time. So if I, for an example, if I get out Lee's Punk and then I switch over to Ragnarhawk, if I try and summon Ragnarhawk, it's going to bring Lee's Punk back. So there's only specific pals you can do this with. I don't even know if it is just the one. But if you go into our pal box management menu, you're going to see a pal here that spawns at night time, spawns right at the start of the game, and it's called Daydream. If you go into details, you have to craft the saddle, so you'll need to do a little bit of leveling up, use the technology tree to unlock the necklace, and then you have to craft it. But once you have the necklace, you'll have the partner skill unlocked. And what that does is, while Daydream's in your team, so just in your party, it appears near the player. It follows up player attacks with magic bullets. So, because I have the necklace, Daydream is going to be summoned. And then if I go through and say I want to summon Lift Monk, I can actually have them both out at the same time. So again, it's specific to Daydream, at least as far as I'm aware. But you can have two pals out at the exact same time. And next up is to make sure that you pay attention to stats of pals if you're looking to min-max. And I don't just mean the passives when I say that, I also mean the attack and defense. Because if we go into our management, if we have a look, I've got two level 3 Gumos here. And while this one's got 119 attacks, so is this one, the defense is 68 on this and is 69 on this one. So one's Pyromaniac and one doesn't actually have a passive. So passives are important as well. Pyromaniac is going to give a 10% increase to fire attack damage. So if you get a fruit that gives you a fire skill, you put it on this Gumos, you're going to get extra damage. But pay attention to the attack and the defense. The work speed is a base 70 across all pals, but the attack and defense will change. So if you're looking to min-max, make sure you pay attention to those stats. And next up, when it comes to catching pals, if we have a look and I aim here, you're going to see that you get a back bonus. It says 32%. If I aim somewhere else on this same pal, I've only got a 13% chance of capturing it. So make sure when you are trying to capture pals, you're aiming for the back. And obviously if it's aggroed, it's going to be a lot tougher to do that. But if you throw a sphere in a pal's face, it has a chance to actually deflect the sphere. So try and aim at the back of pals when you're capturing them, because you're going to get a bigger chance. But not only that, the lower the health the pal has, the easier it is to capture as well. So lower its health, aim at its back, that's going to give you the biggest chance to capture them. And then as you get further into the game, the different sphere rarities and stuff come into it. If we have a look quick, you start off with pal spheres, capture power of 7, 14, 20, and then it goes up to 26. And there is one more that I don't have yet. And then when it comes to your pals working at your base, it's not just the ones you have assigned to your base that can work. You can also use the ones from your party. So for an example, I like to keep Ragnarhawk on me, because when it comes to cooking things, Ragnarhawk is a very high level in kindling. So we go to the party, if we have a look, kindling level 3. But not just that, pals have all sorts of different work suit abilities. So you might have something that's kindling level 2, but it does transporting, it does gathering, so it's not going to focus specifically on one thing. So I like to keep my high level kindling on me, because if we look at the, let's just say we want to cook up some fried eggs. If I leave my base, you'll see that there are no pals coming over to help. And then if I start working on my own, you'll see how fast the fried eggs being cooked. But then if I get Ragnarhawk out, look at how rapid that is. That's because it's level 3 kindling, and then our fried eggs are done in no time at all. So use your pals from your party as well as the ones you've got assigned to your base. But not only that, if you are trying to do something specific, then try and find a pal that has just the one work suitability. Because you'll see here, like Grisbolt has level 3 generating electric, then handiwork, lumbering and transporting as well. And then if you look at Fox Sparks, for an example, Fox Sparks is going to focus on the cooking because that's the only suitability they've got for work. But not only that, if your pals are not doing what you want them to do, so say for an example, I wanted a pal to use this quarry and make stone, but they've run off to that rock down there and they're using that, then what you can do is you can actually lift up your pals, you can throw them at the workplace, and you'll see it says fixed assignment to stone pit. So that means that pal is going to have that fixed assignment. They're not going to try and do other things all the time. I mean, they will venture off and do their own thing eventually. But it's just helpful for controlling the pals that are working at your base and getting them to do things you want them to do. And then when it comes to carrying capacity, you are going to have a set amount. You'll see that my weight is 950. But if you need that little bit extra, if you're transporting stuff from one base to another or something like that, then what you can do is, if we go into my pal box, if you find a Cataver, if I pop Cataver into my team, then if we go back in, my weight has gone up to 1,000. Each Cataver in your party increases your weight capacity by 50. So you can have a max of 250 bonus weight for carrying stuff. But not only that, when you get later on in the game and you find some King Packers, they increase it by 100 each. And if we flick through my box, I've also got a pal called Wumpo. I'm not sure on the extra capacity because you do need to be a high level for this one. But Wumpo has a level 4 transporting work suit ability. So I think that might be even 150. I'm not entirely sure. But there are a few different pals you can put in your party, and they are going to increase your carrying capacity. And Cataver is incredibly easy to capture. Probably one of the easiest pals to capture in the game. And to get a bonus 250 weight, especially at the start of the game, is going to be really, really helpful. And then you'll see here that I've got a chest right next to the stone pit or the quarry. I also have a chest up here next to my login site. And then further down the hill, I have a chest right next to my ranch. That's because when you have pals that are transporting stuff, they are going to focus on the chest that is closest to them. So it helps save time when it comes to transporting goods. The only thing that doesn't count, for an example, is with this ranch, I've got Chickapee who drops eggs. Because I have a feed box that's located just outside my house, instead of my pals transporting to the chest, they will bring it straight to the feed box because it's a source of food. So they will either prioritize specific containers for certain things, or they will go for a storage chest that's closest to them. And also, when it comes to repair kits, they are very, very helpful. Because there's a little bit of a, I'm going to say a bug in the game, and I'm not entirely sure what you would call it. But I've got 7 repair kits, and basically, I had this problem. I've got all these storage chests inside my house, and this one in the corner got damaged, and when it got damaged, I wasn't able to use it properly unless I was standing in a specific spot. So because it was damaged, it kind of ruined the hitbox for it. But once I repaired it, it fixed it so it worked perfectly. The same thing happened to my bed. So make sure you're crafting repair kits because sometimes the hitboxes mess up if things are damaged. And just a bonus tip on top when it comes to your chests. If you are in one and you've got a messy inventory, if you just press R on your keyboard, it's going to take everything out of your inventory that can go into that chest. It's just going to quickly stack them for you, so you don't need to do them one by one. And if you look at the top right of the screen, you've got your PAL info, your base info. Make sure you are paying attention to that, because PALs get stuck, they refuse to eat, they get ill, they're like hungry all the time. Some of them are really stubborn and won't go into the hot spring to recover their sanity. So what you can do if you notice that one of your PALs is hungry, hungry is just an example. If you come over to your PAL box, if you just find an empty slot and you drag them out, take them out of the base and then put them back in, they will correct themselves. Because sometimes you'll see things like this, where I have my sweeper that is stuck in the tree. So he's just going to eventually become hungry, then he might get ill, might get depressed and start slacking. I mean, he can't really do much, he's stuck in a tree. But if they become ill, then you have to work with the medicine workbench. So if they're weakened or they're depressed, you have to have high-grade medical supplies, which means you need ingots and horns and bones. So what I'm going to do with my sweeper is come to the PAL box, and I'm going to find an empty slot, grab sweeper, put him in, and then put him back into the base, which is going to reset his path in. The devs are working on fixes for it, but for the time being, if you notice in the top right corner that one of your PALs is really hungry or is ill or something, then just check that it's not stuck. And if they're being stubborn, not getting in the hot spring, you can just pick them up and you can throw them in there. That's going to help them recover their sanity. And it's not just getting stuck. It happens with sometimes they won't eat for some reason. They can't reach the feed box or something like that. So you can try moving it to a very open area and see if that fixes the problem. And when it comes to food in the Palworld, the PALs will eat absolutely anything. But if you spend the time to put it into a campfire or a cooking pot, if you cook it up, it's going to benefit them more because it's got higher nutrition. Some of it will recover some sanity. And not only that, your entire base, your party, and your player yourself are going to earn XP whilst you're cooking. So if you have the time, you're not busy in the game trying to level up and stuff, I'd highly recommend actually cooking your food. But the PALs aren't too fussy, they will eat anything you chuck in the feed box. And when it comes to leveling up, what you're going to want to do is find as many new PALs as you can, because capturing them gives bonus XP all the way up until the 10th one you catch of the same type. So make sure you are exploring in the game. If you look at the bottom right corner, you'll see the capture bonus. I've caught one Ragnarhawk. I didn't even catch it, I actually hatched it from an egg. But that means my next 9 Ragnarhawks are going to provide bonus XP, and then they'll just give the base XP after that. And when you are exploring, I recommend not avoiding nighttime, because there are specific PALs that will spawn only when it's nighttime. But not only that, it's really, really beneficial for finding things. If you are a high enough level to have the hip lantern, then go ahead and craft that. But if not, you can still see Liftmonk effigies, fast travel points, and the eggs and stuff. They actually show up better in the dark. And if you're not a high enough level to unlock the hip lantern, then fire PALs, once they are summoned, like once you chuck them out, they can actually light up the surrounding area for you. So don't ever be afraid of the dark in this game. It can actually be quite beneficial to your exploration. And then last but definitely not least, if you are looking for gold coins, PAL spheres, other resources, and you want them without needing to farm or grind for them, then you're going to need to find specific PALs and get yourself a ranch. For an example, in front of us, you're going to see a Malcat. When these are grazing in your ranch, they are going to drop you gold coins. When you have a Chickpea, they drop eggs, lamb balls drop wool. There's even a flame bell, or whatever you want to call it, this little thing next to me. They are going to actually drop flame organs, which are really, really helpful. And then you get Vixies that are going to drop PAL spheres, they drop arrows. One thing to note is that no matter what you do, Vixie is only going to find PAL spheres. Vixie will not find the Mega, Giga, or Hyper ones. It's just these basic ones, but you'll see how many I've got on me. And I think I had about 30 before I put a Vixie in my ranch. And there's even another 17 in there. There's arrows. This is all the stuff that they are like digging up. They're dropping, whatever you want to call it. So these PALs and the ranch are very, very useful. So that was the ultimate beginner guide, some tips and tricks to help you guys out in Palworld. Let me know your thoughts and stuff about this game in the comments. I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you out. Thank you for watching.